are live on air, ladies and gentlemen. It's the prodigious, it's the prominent, it's the professor, proclamation news and gatherings. Bear with me 2 secs. Getting all my cast ready to go. Ready for the show. Flux of flux. Only one man in his shoe though. We'll do it, Adam and Eve. Gonna have a long cast day, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate you all coming in, tuning in daily. Give me some support, especially when I need some support. It's not like we just started yesterday. Been going for about 2 years, but people are actually coming in, helping me build the show. It's important that we all support one another in such hard times. Pandemic lockdown, we're all suffering from mental health, aren't we? We try and do what we can to make our day go away. I'm just going to play a little song before we get started. We've got so much to get through. It's going to be about an hour and a half, 2 hour long show. And the more I go along, the more emotive I get. You ladies and gentlemen that usually come in and support the show, the more emotive I get. I emphasise the show. But a lot more people are acknowledging it as well. I've got people all over the globe coming in. I've got my Podbean on, Castbox, YouTube. Getting more followers on YouTube as well, which I'm overwhelmed about. You can play the first song and then we're going to start the lineup. Got so much. I want to see what's going on in the US as well. So stay with the show.
Hey y'all, listen. Last night I was out with some of the cats in the van, and we were having a good time. We had this little blackjack game going on. You know what I mean? And I somehow got lucky. And every time I tried to leave, they kept yelling at me. They want to get their money back. So I stayed there until I had all of it. And friend, I was so excited. I just left there and I started whistling to myself. Oh man, I'm thinking when I get home, my woman gonna be so glad to see me. I know she gonna open the door and she gonna open her arms, and I know she gonna open. I was wrong as hell. I tell you right now, she was waiting on me all right in the middle of the living room floor. I couldn't believe what was happening. The woman went crazy. She stopped yelling and screaming at me, talking about it. Don't come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Yeah. Don't come back no more. I didn't quite understand it at first, you know what I mean? Yeah. Don't come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Don't come back no more. Oh woman, don't treat me so mean. You're the meanest old woman that I've ever seen. I guess if you say so, I'm gonna have to pack my things and go. That's right, don't come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Don't come back. Hit the road, time. Don't come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Don't come back. Come on, baby, listen, baby, don't treat me this way. I'll be back on my feet someday.
Don't care if you do, but it's understood. You ain't got no money, you just ain't no good.
If you say so, I'm gonna have to pack my things and go.
That's right, hit the road, baby.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's proclamation news and gatherings. It's Wednesday, the 3rd of November, 2020. Almost last evening before we go into national lockdown. Let's have a look at today's lineup. First of all, if you're new to politics, you listen in. Some people never voted before. Some people don't know what it's like to become a member. What happens if you become a member of a party? I mean, I'll say it from my perspective because obviously I know my side of politics. I'm on the right side of politics. Not here to discriminate any listeners on the left. Obviously not. We're here to debate with one another, not write each other off. I've had that quite a lot lately. People think they know party politics. They've probably never done a day's media study in their life. Yes, so with Conservative Club, obviously coming to my on my show, it's gonna be a little bit. You might find a bit biased towards Conservative because I support Conservatives. Same as I'll come to your house and you're watching the Tottenham game, playing Arsenal, and Tottenham are winning. You're gonna be screaming, put my name down. Same sort of thing. So we've got to see it from all different perspectives. I'm not here to write you guys off supporting my show. Absolutely not. I listen to James O'Brien. Don't like Labour Party, but I really like James O'Brien. I like it. He's quite. He's not aggressive. He's just very diplomatic. But his formation of politics, a bit like myself. I wouldn't say I was nowhere near as intelligent as him, but somewhat as intelligent as him, I'd like to say. What your membership gets you if you sign up for Conservative Club, I think it's about £25 a year. £15 your veteran. You can help us win elections. All your subscription goes towards our campaign. Get the latest from inside the party with regular member updates and exclusive member invites. Take part in campaign groups like our Conservative Women's Organisation, Young Conservatives, or Conservative Friends groups. Meet like-minded people and make a difference for our country. You can influence party policy by giving feedback on policy briefs. Choose candidates and vote in leadership elections so you can choose the people you want to represent you. Come to party conference and spring forum. Join our MPs, councillors and activists in the big events of the Conservative calendar. Connect your local Conservatives. As a member, you become part of the local association, support local campaigns and attend social events and members just like you. You can stand for election. Stand for election yourself. If you think you've got enough to support your community and what you do, as a member, you have the opportunity to stand election as a Conservative. So if you decide that you want to take part in democracy, you can. To a certain extent, I do, don't I? I mean, people come on my show daily, do a 2 or 3 hour. People get involved in the debates. A lot of people agree with what I say. Some people disagree to agree with what I say. So, like I'm saying, I'm not being biased on my side of the fence. So you got some of you lefties in here. I'm not biased. I'm not being biased. I'm trying to just give it my perspective from my side of the fence. I'm not trying to rip you guys off. It's not what I do. Like I said, I enjoy James O'Brien. Anyway, he's been working his socks off. Not really sure if I'm a Trump speaker. Good spill, didn't they? They speak a good spill. Or they spill a good speak. They're trying to sell themselves, aren't they, to the audience? They've got to sell themselves. Why should I be Prime Minister? Really, if you're given all that opportunity, could anyone run as Prime Minister? You don't know until you get that far ahead, do we? I could sit and say, I could do a better job. Can I? You could sit there and say, you could do a better job. It's not actually until you're in the driving seat, you know if you can do a better job or not. Trump has got 214 votes so far, and Biden has got 227. I think Trump wants to. They've got to get 270 to win. After 42 of 50 states, Trump is slightly losing, but Trump wants to call it knock it on the head now. Apparently, Trump is not happy. he's slightly tailing. It's been a long debate. I've seen loads of people on all the radio stations. Uh, they're all waiting for to see this new Joe Biden take his place. What's Trump done wrong? I know he comes out with some crazy stuff. Would you really say that he's done something wrong? Do you really think he'd stick debt on children? I don't think he would. Anyway, this is another thing people have been debating. Student lockdown. Should I stay or should I go? Some people saying they shouldn't be sending their kids into school. It's stupid that the government have left the schools open. To be honest, yeah, I think they should have put the kids at school in the first place and shut the pubs. University students across England have been told they should not return home for the new lockdown. While many have already endured enforced isolation, had their lectures moved online, and now unsure if lockdown will be extended into Christmas. For some, the prospect of uh, 4 more weeks away from home is just too much to bear. University's Minister Michelle Donlan has written to the students advising them to stay at their current accommodation to protect their loved ones. But the National Union of Students (NUS) said they should be able to return home before lockdown begins on Thursday. It said many students are concerned about the new restrictions and want the support of their families. The NUS President Larissa Kennedy said it is understandable some students will want to leave university's accommodation during this challenging period. She said the government must ensure students are unable to travel home from safety before lockdown starts in line with current guidance for the wider population, which allows people to move homes and form new households until Thursday and stop subjecting them to stricter rules than everyone else. Miss Kenny said, from online learning to long periods of self isolation, often from shoebox rooms, students' experiences this term have been far from what they led to expect. Many have recently gone through accommodation in lockdowns, and the mental health implications of making students stay longer than they want or need to cannot be underestimated. Don't want to put people at risk. Hadley Yardy, 20, and her housemate Abbey Hobbs, 21, have decided to stay at Bournemouth University for lockdown in an off-campus accommodation. I'm staying because all my housemates are staying, and I also live with someone who is doing the same course as me. It is easier to do our work together, said Hannah. The sociology student from Overton, Hampshire, added, I'm not too worried because I spent most of my last lockdown in halls and it was fine. However, if lockdown gets extended for Christmas, I probably will try to go home because everyone wants to be with their families and especially because my mum lives on her own. But I don't know if this will be allowed and I don't want to put people at risk. Abby hopes to be able to go home to Marlborough, Wiltshire for Christmas, but only as long as I wouldn't be put off my family at risk. She's added, I think it'll be more fun continuing to live with friends in Bournemouth during lockdown. I don't think it will feel too different than with the current restrictions as we don't really go out anyway. No chance I'm staying over Christmas. University of Sheffield student Will Roberts intends to stay in the city over lockdown to continue working as a part-time care assistant. The 22-year-old housemates, who are also choosing to stay, but students would ignore restrictions if they meant they could not return home for Christmas. You know they will ignore restrictions. Look what happened last time. Was it ketamine? Two kids had ketamine or something like that, and they died. They're going to parties. You know that once the cat's away, the mice will play. Absolutely. The international development student from Prestanian, Devonshire, said it only meant to be a month, and everyone knows students are going to go home for Christmas regardless of what happens. But he added, if it came to Christmas and I wasn't allowed to go, I'd still go home as I get tested for coronavirus every week at work. Also, my housemates are quite careful, and we don't have anyone else in the house. There's no chance I'm going to stay in Sheffield for Christmas unless I'm working. I'll be on my own if I don't go home. Matt Wincott. Matt Wincott thinks there is a little point staying in Bristol during lockdown. Matt Wincott shared a house with three other people who are also planning to go home in lockdown. I thought I was going to need a Heineken mover there, swallow the sweet down the wrong hole. The 20-year-old who is studying business and management at Bristol University said, I didn't want to spend a month in Bristol on my own. Also, with all my lectures online, I could do anywhere in the country, so it seemed sensible to go home as it seems a safer place to be. He said the government advice hasn't been very straightforward. I mean it to go to the university twice a week for lessons, but with the majority of people, I'm going to go home. I'm not sure how or if these lessons will proceed. As a final year student, the lessons are important, but I can justify staying in a uni accommodation on my own to go into university twice a week. New rules have affected my decision hugely, with pubs shutting yet again. Bristol has lost its last semblance of nightlife. I think I had my mind set on the first announcement. I feel maybe I could have stayed in the whole flat collectively decided we would, but as of now, two of them have already gone. It can't get very lonely. With the university student Lucy wants to be with her grandparents. University of Reading student Lucy Coleman said she would spend the lockdown home rather than living at university house. The 21-year-old said she feels there's no point being on campus when she lectures are online. The mathematics student from Sherburn, Dorset said, when a second lockdown was announced, my immediate reaction was to find my parents to discuss it with them. If there are no spots or socialising, it can be very lonely, so I just wanted to be with my parents, he said. I know university aren't necessarily affected, but I may end up closing the library and stuff. If they extend the lockdown, I definitely don't want to be stuck here over Christmas. Students don't want to be stuck in university. They want to go home with their parents, which is it's, fair enough, isn't it? Absolutely fair enough. That's all I can suggest. I've got to put my phone on charge as well, guys. I'll keep my Castbox running as well as my people, lovely lot on YouTube as well. Thank you ever so much for being patient. We're still got a bit of a break up for the music halfway through. Absolutely phenomenal. Anyone see that Johnny Depp thing in the paper? I made a quick discussion really because I'm quite, I'm in the media. I've been in the media since 1995, broadsheet, tabloid newspapers. I know the ins and outs of a duck's backside. It's like me telling a bricklayer, this say lay bricks. Come on, mate, this is my job. This is my job. I've been doing it on and off since 1995. Probably like you bricklayers, you read newspaper every day, but thoroughly since, I was in the thick of it at school, 1995, when I was like 15, 16, and probably maybe part of my years when I was 14 as well. So it's not like I've just turned to media studies as well as my politics study as well. So I've done media studies since about 95, 94, possibly 96 as well. So, it's my job. No one can sit and try and debate anything really. I've got a good etiquette sense when it comes to criminal law as well. I said about the Johnny Depp and the Amber thing. I've read not only did I read the thing that you see in the newspaper, propaganda, the worst of it all, I see the write-up from both of them in court as well. I see the legislation. And there's nothing on the legislation, then all the court reports of the judges for and against. There's nothing on the court report that says that Johnny Depp was domestic abuse, violent abuse maybe, but not violent. So she gave as good, just good as she got. There is no evidence of any bruise on her face. She, I know he threw a bottle smashed or something, and she threw a bottle at him, smashed at him, hit him. And there's someone else said, I haven't seen that in the report. Someone else said she set light to him. Well, on Facebook, everyone was jumping on back last thing up Johnny Depp. But then today, I found video evidence of a woman punching a man 3 times stuck down my Facebook. Not Not one of these people that was ripping my face off yesterday commented on that. These people were ripping me to pieces for commenting, this domestic violence. I had someone here on my cast box, you know, for no reason, throwing hate crime towards me. But some of these legislators are not doing their job correctly. Because Johnny Depp should have used his pragmatic etiquette. He's losing everything, isn't he? He's losing everything. He's going to lose his legacy. He's going to lose his professionalism, his etiquette, professionalism. He's going to lose it all due to this stupid thing. I don't know how true it is. There's no, it could have been a bit more behind closed doors than it was led on. But if there's no evidence, if Johnny Depp killed someone, it's going to be a dead body. It's going to be traces or something. But there's no traces. That's what I'm getting at. There's no traces of anything. Sir Keir Starmer got Jimmy Savile of alleged, allegations of rape, and later found out that he done it. They need to be making the right thing, doing the right job. That's what I'm saying. People jumping on the bandwagon saying, "Oh, let's fight him off." Let's fight Justin off. He don't know what he's talking about. Well, I clearly do. I do know what I'm talking about. I see it in the paper all the time. And then when I put something of a woman hitting a man, that's all right. That's what I'm getting at. That's exactly what I was getting at. It's not all right for a woman to hit a man. It's not all right for a man to hit a woman. But there's no evidence of Johnny Depp. But I had evidence of that woman punching that man. It's local as well. It's not far from where I live. But yet, they're all jumping bandwagon with Johnny Depp. They don't know Johnny Depp. They don't know Amber. This local guy lives 10 miles up the road, getting beaten the granite out of his wife. And not one of them that jumped on my back yesterday didn't want to sit on the fence for feminism, did they? Because a woman's punching a man. I support feminism. You've heard it on here daily, sometimes, especially when it comes to football. Arsenal ladies, Arsenal men. That's where the equalities of it all comes in, isn't it? How can we support feminism if all these feminism gets attacking me for something I do support? The roundabouts, kicking a man way down, so to speak. Anyway, moving on. COVID-19. All pupils and staff must wear masks in secondary school corridors. Pupils and teachers in all of England's secondary schools and colleges will be required to wear face masks in communal areas and corridors from Thursday. New government's guidance also say that clinical extremely vulnerable staff members should not come into school. Head teachers said schools would need to help pay for supply teachers. They also expressed anger that the guidance had landed on school leaders' desks less than 24 hours before the start of national lockdown. The new guidance issued by the Department of Education on Wednesday afternoon says face coverings should be worn by adults and children aged 11 and above when moving around the premises. Outside of classrooms or activity rooms such as in corridors and communal areas where social distancing cannot easily be maintained. And the same applies for further education colleges. Until now, this requirement was only for schools and colleges where the local COVID-19 alert level was highly or very high. The DfE also says teachers with serious underlying health issues should help away from the premises. These individuals who are clinically extremely vulnerable are advised to work from home and not to go into work, the guidance says. Staff should talk to their employers about how they will be supported, including to work from home where possible. During the period of national restrictions, all of other staff continue to attend work, including those in a household with someone who is clinically extremely vulnerable. Paul Whiteman, General Secretary of the NAHT School Leaders Union, said the lockdown was announced 4 days ago and that beggars believe that schools have had to wait until to find out how it affects them. Frankly, it is ridiculous that the new guidance has landed on school leaders' deck less than 24 hours before the start of the national lockdown. There is very little in the guidance that could have been communicated within the schools with 72 hours ago. Shielding the teachers. Shielding the teachers, they say. Shielding teachers. Mr. Wyman also expressed concern about the impact of vulnerable teachers staying at home would have and schools' ability to operate. Given the restrictions around the clinical extreme vulnerable staff, the reality is some schools may not find it necessarily difficult to remain open at all from the pupils. Jeff Barton, General Secretary of the Association of School and College Leaders, welcomed the move but said it will it will mean that there are more staff missing from the workplace, on top of those who are self-isolating. It is imperative that the government reimburses schools and colleges with the cost of home support cover for the staff absent. We have received reports from schools having to spend £6,000 per week on supply cover, and this situation is going to become worse. Schools and colleges cannot sustain these costs. Mr. Barton said the extension to the rule of the face covering was a sensible response to rising COVID levels and it will act as an extra level of protection. The top of the safety measures in schools, yeah, the government's education recovery planning does need to take into account the impact of restrictions on health and well-being. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for listening in this evening. I want to say, if you are you're in work or whatever, if you're working, you're a key worker, I just want to say, well done, well done. Thank you all. You're doing a great, splendid job. I mean, your radio presenter, say you'll be a radio presenter, giving people, it's helping their mental health, giving them something to focus on. You're talking about something of interest, possible interest, trying to build a gathering, trying to become a good Tony speaker, trying to become a good radio presenter yourself. You want to get to the top of the bill, you want to get to the top of the market, but you haven't got quite the funds of a lot of these other supporters get, you know. I'm starting from scratch. Well, not really. I've got a lot of wisdom, believe me, but some of them lucky fed into the big chain line. This is my chain line. I'm staying by myself. Doesn't matter if I have to stay solo for the rest of my life or get funded where I need to get. BBC are massive. They started, was it in the 80s or was that ITV? One or two. One of them, either was in the 80s. I'm not sure. You can check that up and let me know if you know. But I know one of them was in the 80s. Definitely 1,000,000%. Anyway, more before we have a little break, we're going to move on to the next one. We're going to have a great long show today, hopefully. I'm liking a bit of Ray Charles in a minute, so we're going to have a break with Ray Charles after this next part of the show. Oh, NHS in England moves to the highest alert level. The NHS in England has been placed at the highest alert level. Bosses have announced. The move by the NHS means staff can be moved around the country, while patients may be sent over to regions for treatment if COVID threatens to overwhelm local services. Health bosses said they were seriously concerned, adding the NHS was facing a very difficult winter. But they said they hoped that lockdown would help avoid major disruption. Evidence presented at a briefing in London suggests hospital could take a maximum of 20,000 COVID patients before other services such as routine surgery would be distributed. Hospitals are currently taking just over 10,000 patients and are expected to close to the 20,000 mark in the coming weeks, given the infection levels seen recently. It takes around 10 days for an infection from a person to be sick enough to require hospital treatment, meaning the admissions for mid-November are already baked in, according to the NHS Medical Director, Professor Paris. Let's have a look what he says. Actually talking, right? I forgot, you're not going to hear it. You're not even going to be able to hear it. I'm absolute prize bonker. NHS Chief Executive Sir Simon Stephen told BBC that pressure on the NHS caused the virus is already 3 times worse than the extra burdens placed on hospitals over winter. He said flu and other winter conditions usually brought in 3,000 extra people to hospitals, but there were more than 10,000 coronavirus patients in England, even before winter pressures had arrived. Sir Simon added that the concern the levels going up because the number of coronavirus inpatients is going up. Some hospitals are already cancelling on non-urgent work because the pressures were not going evenly felt across the country, he said. He said the lockdown should mean there would be not be the need for mass cancellation for non-urgent work. 9 ways this lockdown is different from the last time. Find the number of coronavirus in the area. PM faces MP vote before the England lockdown. But, he added, however, we are well prepared hospitals. The NHS GP surgeries are. It is going to be a very difficult period. Sir Simon also said that the briefing to announce that NHS was moving to alert level 4. This happened during the first wave and was only lifted in July. The move means senior bosses in NHS England will get personally involved in the day-to-day managing of pressures. Patients couldn't find themselves sent to different areas for treatment, including cancer care and hip and knee replacements. Moving very sick COVID patients in the last resort, however, because of the complexity of such transfers. This week, the Prime Minister warned that without action, the NHS would be placed in an impossible position with the sick would be turned away because there's no room in our hospitals, and with doctors and nurses potentially forced to choose which patient to treat, would live and who would die. Dr. Alison Pittard, Dean and a Faculty of Intensive Care and Medicine, said she ha- said she was the confident NHS was not going to collapse. I mean, if they did, when we had a mass load of people having COVID, they're not going to all get saved, are they? It's not our fault. There's not enough doctors, is there? I mean, I could say I'm a doctor, but not then I ain't be able to fix you because I don't know the job. It's not our fault. There's not enough intelligent people to be doctors in our country, is there? What are we supposed to do? Nick all the doctors from Iran and let all their people die. Nick all the doctors from US and let their people die. I mean, you get these critics going, if Belsey's messed up, the government's messed up. It's no one's messed up. It's not a complete mess up by anyone's fault. It's just an act of God, and we've got to deal with it. It's that simple. All the critics on Facebook, you probably see it yourself. You probably get your neighbours saying, "Oh, yeah, Boris Johnson's fault. It's Donald Trump's fault. It's Mr. Wuhan's fault." You know, it's ludicrous. These people don't really know politics. She also urged people to get behind NHS and lockdown. One of the things that helped the healthcare workers through the first wave was the support from the British public, and that really gets lots of people through that. And this is how close it would get for the NHS. I mean, look how good these key workers are. I mean, they're getting. I mean, the stupid thing is that people go to A&E asking for a COVID test kit. A&E is not for COVID patients. Accident emergency. I've got COVID. Is it an accident emergency that you got COVID? It's a life-threatening thing, not an accident and emergency. Accident emergencies for people having slipped, trips, or falls, not for COVID. You need to go to a special ward. You want to get a COVID test, you don't go A&E. You can ring up the not A&E. You can ring up the National Health System and get a COVID test sent to your door. Drop it in the bin. You know the drop-off points. There you go. Fanny's your aunt and Bob's your uncle. Use your brain. Use your brain, ladies and gents. The ability of the NHS to cope, and by that, bosses mean avoiding that for the need of mass cancellation of non-COVID work has clearly been crucial in the decision to move to a second lockdown. These figures presented by the NHS bosses on Wednesday suggest hospitals are just weeks away from free capacity in hospitals in England being used up. But the big question is what happens from there. The NHS could be freed up to another 5,000 beds or so by cancelling some of the least urgent routine treatments. However, there are suggestions in infections may have actually peaked and extra capacity may not be needed. Professor Tim Spector, who leads a COVID symptom study, believes cases may be on the brink of coming down. There are also some early signs in the government data that cases may be uh, plateauing. In that case, in that if that is the case, it could mean the NHS may not have needed the lockdown to avoid major disruption. The flattening may, of course, by false dawn, but if it isn't, it will raise interesting questions about the lockdown. Vaccine plans. Earlier, Sir Simon said the NHS would be geared up to deliver a potential vaccine before Christmas. If one becomes available, he told Radio 4's today's programme there are over 200 vaccines in development, and we believe that we should hopefully get one or more of those available from the first part of the year. In anticipation of that, we're also gearing the NHS up to be ready to make a start of administering COVID vaccines before Christmas if they become available. Sir Simon later told the press briefing the NHS central expectation was that a vaccine would be possible by the start of next year. He also suggested that the patient-facing NHS staff would soon be given routine testing regardless of the symptoms. I'll play one more song, ladies and gents. I might even have an early one tonight. It's getting late. I am been at mum, dad's. I'll play one more song. So here we go.
What you said? You can't mean that. After all I sacrificed, after all you put me through, you will have to learn to tell me to my face. You're making me mad here now, woman. I don't think you know who you're talking to. I don't have to take that kind of talk to nobody. Say what? Yeah, I know it's your house, but there's no reason you keep telling me that. Say what? I dare you to say it again. What? Are you jiving? Don't come back.
Ladies and gents, I'll call that it on YouTube. Thank you all so much. I ain't got the energy to keep going. I had so much to talk about. I'm absolutely shattered this evening. Got so much to do tomorrow. Studying. Been studying all day. Helping mum and dad out. Cut bits. Paperwork. Thank you. Take care. And God bless. Speak soon.